Hey everybody, how's it going? And welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. Today we're going to be talking about Duncan V. Bonta, which is California's magazine ban case that's currently sitting in front of the Supreme Court for consideration, and how that could affect other states, including Washington State, that just voted to ban magazines that could hold more than 10 rounds. So let's get to it. This channel is proud to be sponsored by the USCCA. I myself have been a member for the past 5 years now, and USCCA is an extremely valuable membership to keep in your wallet that provides you with self-defense liability insurance, a concealed carry reciprocity map, online education and training, and so much more. They even offer spousal benefits as well. So definitely check it out. USCCA will be linked down below. Okay, so let me go and start off by giving you guys some backstory on Duncan v. Bonta. If you don't recognize the case by name, that's because it originally started out as Duncan v. Becerra. This is something we've been talking about on this channel now for years. Duncan v. Becerra is what's responsible for giving California its first Freedom Week. Freedom Week was a really important time in California. As a matter of fact, it changed the landscape there, I think, forever. Because during a 1-week period, people in California were able to bring in whatever capacity magazine they wanted. They could bring it in, they could own it, they could use it, they could transfer it. I mean, you know, basically that law no longer existed for a 1-week period until, again, Judge Roger T. Benitez kind of reinstated it with the stipulation that those things that were acquired during that time period could be kept until there was a final decision in this case. Now, like I said before, this case has been winding its way through the court system for years. It started off with Judge Roger T. Benitez, who said it was unconstitutional. He wrote a great decision on that. Excellent if you ever get a chance to read it. Then it went up to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, where it was heard by a 3-judge panel who also found that it was unconstitutional. And then after that, it was heard en banc by an 11-judge panel who suddenly decided that California could ban these things and that it was constitutional. Now, after that, it goes up to the Supreme Court. So it's been appealed to the Supreme Court. Now, it's not for sure that the Supreme Court is actually going to hear it, but it's up for consideration, which is basically the first step. The Supreme Court gets a bunch of different cases. They consider which ones they are or which ones they aren't going to take, but I have a good feeling about this case. The reason is because you have different opinions amongst different circuit courts. So one might say that it's unconstitutional, one might say that it's constitutional, and so there are differing opinions. Plus, there is also an argument that the way that the Ninth Circuit decided this case was also wrong, and the level of scrutiny that was applied was wrong, and so that the Supreme Court needs to clarify whether or not this is constitutional or not. So, you know, there's a big lawsuit that's going on right now, Duncan v. Bonta, and that's sitting in front of the Supreme Court for consideration. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about what happened in Washington and how this could affect that and other states that have similar laws to California's. Now, California's is a little bit different than some other laws that are out there, and maybe different than what Washington just passed. So Washington just voted to pass a bill that would restrict the purchase, ownership, basically ban anything over 10 rounds moving forward, while grandfathering everything that already exists. So I don't think that's been signed by Governor Inslee yet, but still it was a bill that was passed and is going up to the governor's desk. In California, what they did is they banned those things. They've already been banned for quite a while, but people had things grandfathered in prior to the ban taking place, and they were allowed to have them and use them, keep them, and all that stuff. California decided to go back on their word and decided we're just going to go ahead and now we're going to ban the things that were grandfathered in. We changed our mind and we're not going to let you keep them anymore. And so you have to turn them in, get rid of them, modify them, destroy them, whatever the case is. That's where California is different from some of these other ones that still have existing grandfather clauses in their laws. So California is a bit different. However, still one of the main meaty points of this case is the effective ban on anything over 10. So that's kind of where the similarities and the differences are. Now, this will affect every single state in this country. If the Supreme Court actually decides to hear this and decides to rule on it, it will affect every single state that has a magazine capacity limitation law in place. Because, again, what they're looking at is whether or not the state's interests, or whether or not, this is something that is constitutional because of states' interests, or it's something that infringes on people's rights and therefore is unconstitutional. That's what the Supreme Court's going to look at, and that's what they're going to determine. Now, the reason, again, that I think they're going to do this is because of differing opinions. If the Supreme Court decides to hear this and they determine that this law that's currently in place in California is unconstitutional, it would basically make it unconstitutional in every single state that decides to adopt a law like that. Whether the law has already been adopted or the law is up for consideration, it would basically be moot at that point. So this is a huge deal. We have the current NYSRPA versus New York case that's up there right now, and then we also have this case for consideration. Now, the NYSRPA case has already been decided that they're going to hear it. They've already heard oral arguments. They're going through the process, and we might expect a decision May or June on that one. But this one is just up for consideration. If they decide to hear this and that case, and we get a favorable outcome in both, it would be two massive wins for us. I mean, two massive wins. And I think that we have a very good chance. If you read some of the arguments on the Duncan V. Bonta case, they are very compelling and they make sense in the constitutional basis, right? So again, two very big cases that would basically say that there's no just cause requirement for carry, and the states are not allowed to ban things that have a higher capacity than 10 because it'd be unconstitutional. That's what we'd be looking for. And so if this does get heard by the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court rules on it and the decision goes in our favor, everything that just happened in Washington, their vote would basically go right out the window. People in Washington would be allowed to keep what they have and allowed to use whatever they have. People in California would be allowed to keep and use whatever they have. And the other states would essentially be forced to overturn their own laws as being unconstitutional. So we have some pretty big stuff sitting in front of the Supreme Court right now, and I am excited for it because I'm trying to be optimistic for a favorable outcome. I always try and stay optimistic. I know that the legal side that is on our side, they're really good, and they're almost always better than the state. So again, fingers crossed. Okay, I got my fingers crossed for this one because these are two cases that are extremely important, and I will definitely try and keep you guys up to date on them. Thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. Have a great day.